dirty on May the 8th. If you haven't read the press yet, this is a big day. And if you look at my videos from 6 to 12 months ago, you will see that I made videos about the IPO drive out. Remember, I said that'll be the day that they will strike, where they'll make the loudest noise. So here it is, May the 8th, right? And people behind this, Shona Clarkson from Gig Workers Rising, right? They have about 4,000 members. But this really only works nationally and internationally when everybody participates. The big day is May the 8th. It's going to go for 12 hours. I'm also going to share with you a list. I have a list of over 200,000 newspaper editors that I'll show you just now. I have the emails to the newspaper organizations, to the publishers in the United States and abroad, and I always use that for PR or for marketing purposes. I also supplied a copy when the Los Angeles strike took place. I'll show you that, right? In fact, I'll give you a brief glimpse right now what it looks like. There it is, right? All the names, we'll go through this, all the emails of all the publishing houses, right? Tons and tons and tons of them. That, my friends, is how I make noise as a marketer. Tommy, how are you? He's in the house. So it's interesting. Here are the very basic 4 demands, right? Uber and Lyft drivers want higher wages. Uber and Lyft drivers want clearer policies. Excuse me, so much pollen in the air. Clearer policies on wages, tips, how fares are shared, and disciplinary action. Uber and Lyft drivers want employee benefits such as healthcare, disability payments, and holiday pay. Uber and Lyft drivers want recognition and representation for drivers in Uber's management structure. Let me just run those 4 points by you again. Uber and Lyft drivers want higher wages. Uber and Lyft drivers want clearer policies on wages, tips, how fares are shared, and disciplinary action. Uber and Lyft drivers want employee benefits such as healthcare, disability payments, and holiday pay. And Uber and Lyft drivers want recognition and representation for drivers in Uber's management structure. Very interesting, right? So this is taking place in San Francisco. If you're in San Francisco, you're invited to participate. In Chicago, in Los Angeles, we already did a very successful one here. I actually worked the cameras of 5 different 5 different TV stations, CBC, Reuters, ABC, jumped in front of a lot of TV cameras in support of all of us here, right? This affects us, right? So you will see my videos from 8 months ago, 6, 8, 12 months ago. I said, if they are going to do an effective strike, it'll be the day they do the IPO. There it is. It's announced today. May the 8th is the big day, 12 hours, right? San Diego will participate, Minneapolis will participate, Philadelphia will participate, Washington, D.C. will participate. And like I said, those 4 points, that's the reason why people will be showing up. Sergio Robles, bless you too, my friend. Robert Huneker, give me back my 25%. Swiss Cheese, bless you too. Also bless you, my friend. And Merck says, hello, everyone. And Florida needs to get on board. Everybody needs to get on board, right? This is a collective effort, my friends. This is a collective effort. And anybody that wants my national and international newspaper database, and I'm not kidding you, it has, let me see, it has 200, almost 300,000 records. How can I show you this? There we go. Has 308,000 records, right? Of all the editors and publishers' emails. It's cost me a lot of money, my friends. If anybody wants a copy, all I request is that you do the minimum sign up at Rideshare Driving School, the $9 package, because I have to take my time and email you this, right? This is a few $1,000s worth, this data, right? And it's updated every quarter, right? If anybody wants a copy, just sign up for the minimum package on Rideshare Driving School and then send me an email and say, hey, my name is so-and-so, I just signed up, and then I will get you a copy of this. This is how I do marketing campaigns for the internet companies that I've built. If I ever go rogue, if I ever go to the dark side and Uber pisses me off enough, or Lyft, I will start my own organization. And it'll be highly, highly effective because I use highly effective marketing tools, right? That's my specialty, right? So here it is. If anybody wants a copy, I'll put the link down there for you again. All I request is that you do the minimum Rideshare Driving School package, because it'll be my time to answer your email, to email you this and give you a copy of this, right? Folks, I paid a lot of money for this, and it's gold. You can imagine having the emails of every single newspaper in the United States and abroad, having their email, right? When you create a press release around this date, May the 8th IPO, and you alert these people, hey, this is who we are, this is the organization, and we're doing strikes in these cities, right? And here's the article that you can publish, right? If you Google today's news, Uber and Lyft news, I will guarantee you that the May 8th press release has been picked up by numerous of these outlets. Just test it. I haven't even tested, but I will guarantee if you go and put in the keywords Uber news or Lyft news, this should be on the headlines, right? And how do those editors get these stories? Through these databases. That's it, right? So right now, I just want to share with you my frustrations, right? I'm sick and tired of this chopping, willy-nilly chopping of rates, playing around with us like lab mice, like guinea pigs, with the surges, the destination filters. They're just effing us around, right? And it's wrong. These people here, my friends, I'm going to show you, these are real people, right? These are real people out there standing up for real reasons. What are the reasons? Again, higher wages, clearer policy on wages, clearer policy on tips, how fares are shared, and how disciplinary action is decided by Uber or Lyft. We want to know, not just, hey, willy-nilly, we're going to deactivate you. Bullshit, I'm sorry. Employee benefits such as healthcare, disability payments, and holiday pay. These are real things that Uber and Lyft drivers demand attention on. Recognition and representation for drivers in Uber's management structure. I would volunteer. I would volunteer as a YouTube influencer to be on that board and represent drivers. I will guarantee you, I will look out for drivers' rights. I have done that from day one. That is the type of person that I am. You know, one of my favorite stories is the David and Goliath story. I love standing up for the underdog. I love standing up for the smaller guy. In fact, I spent 3 years of my time, volunteering my time in South Africa after the army, right? I introduced a campaign in the army to clean up all the ghettos, to clean up all the townships, to empower children, to have corporate companies through the army give little African kids educational toys, books, puzzles, so that they could learn and educate themselves, right? I started that initiative, raised over $25 million in 2 years. What happened after this? Fact, I got a job with the Nelson Mandela's children organization. From Nelson Mandela personally, I traveled around with his family, with his daughters, Zinzi and Zindiwe, with his grandchildren, with the Mandela family for almost 2.5 to 3 years, right? Because I stood up for the underdog. Meanwhile, my other companies were running in the background, right? I had event marketing companies, I did road shows, I did laser shows, I did concerts, I did events in Johannesburg and Cape Town. But after my army days, that is what I volunteered for 3 full years. So I have always, and no one will ever question my loyalty here, right? Some people think, oh, this guy is part of the Uber or Lyft organization. I say to you, bullshit, right? I've always advocated for the driver. There's me. Who the hell is that at the strike, right? Right? I'm striking, right? I'm in front of the TV. So those people who question my loyalty and say that I'm a snitch for Uber and Lyft, big fucking middle finger to you, okay? My loyalties are with the drivers and the drivers only, and I would volunteer all day long to have a position on that board and fight for drivers' rights, right? I am very proud of the few organizations that have shown muscle. I really am, right? Because, it's time. These bully tactics need to stop, right? So I read you for 12 hours, and it should be longer on May the 8th. They should make it for 48 hours or for 72 hours, right? When you hit, you got to hit hard. 12 hours to me is not enough. You got to, as a driver, sacrifice that day and say, today I am standing united with all my rideshare brothers and sisters, right? So that's got to be the mission here on May the 8th. And let me tell you, I'm going to make a quote from this guy, Mustafa. He says, we want a living wage. Just simple English. We want a living wage. Right now, this guy and many other people are not getting a living wage, my friends, right? So these organizers, they've rallied and announced these cities. I will guarantee you, if you go onto Google and put in Uber News or Lyft News, that this article will show up, right? The organizers behind it are Gig Workers Rising in Northern California, Rideshare Drivers United in Los Angeles and Chicago, Chicago Rideshare Advocates, drivers in San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles, Chicago, Minneapolis, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. are all joining this 12-hour strike, right? So on that day, take a position, my friends. Take a position. Again, very quickly, for anyone watching right now who's jumped into the house, I have a database of over 300,000 newspaper records of all the newspapers, the editors, the phone numbers, the addresses, the emails. Here it is, just briefly scrolling through it, right? There we go. See that? I'm scrolling through that, right? Let me just read to you. Colorado Hometown Newspaper, Tampa Tribune, Ventura County Star, Metro Newspapers, Legislative Gazette, American Media, Cox Newspapers, Daily News, the Ridge Rider News. Every small and large newspaper, I have the contact. Anybody wants this list, this thing cost me a couple of $1,000. But if anybody wants a list, the minimum that I ask you is just sign up at Rideshare Driving School for the $9 package, because it'll be my time that I have to email you back, get this database to you, but I will provide it. I use this to launch press releases. And I can assure you that those organizations, gig workers, Rideshare Uniters, they must have a list like this, right? Or I hope they do, to get the word out, right? Here's our press release. One page, email it, please run the story, right? And you will see it has validity when journalists or the press picks up the story and publishes it. I challenge anyone, go to Google and put in the keywords Uber News and Lyft News, that this should be the news of the day, right? It should be. And what are we fighting for here, my friends? We're just fighting for some really, really, really basics, right? They're not asking insane requests here. They want, Uber and Lyft drivers want higher wages. They want clearer policies on wages, clearer policies on tips, how fares are shared, how is disciplinary action taken. For example, hey, I just got deactivated. Why? Right? What's the reason behind it? We want to see those decisions. How do you get there? How do you just decide, okay, well, I'm cutting this driver off, right? So we want access to that information. Employee benefits such as healthcare, disability payments, holiday pay, we should have that, right? Recognition and representation for drivers in Uber's management structure. And there I said I would volunteer, right, to be part of that. So Pinpolo sounds very upset there. He's ranting and raving. Tommy, I'm one with the professor. Well, we're all in one, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Anthony Mayers, if the pay is so good, you can't afford to turn off the app. Stop complaining. What is Anthony raving about? If the pay is so good, you can't afford to turn off the app. Stop complaining. Yeah, good point. I mean, hey, some people know how to make money here. Some people have access to bigger cars. Some people have access to the Lux and the SUV categories. You know, some people are working their butts off in X and maybe not have the money or the budget. And I would understand why there would be more X or Lyft regular drivers wanting to strike, right? You got to look at the categories. You got to look at the income potential of X, of Black, of Select, of XL, of SUV, of Lux, right? And I will tell you that the majority of the people that will be showing up, right, on that day are, and I spoke to them, right, are X drivers. The majority of the people are in the lowest Lyft and Uber categories, right? Because I know that Uber's making the most money and handing out the least back to the drivers, right? We want to know where riders are going before we accept the trip, Tommy. Exactly, right? We have the right to know. We should know, right? Gustavo Rosales asked, what is the strike date? The strike date is May the 8th. And I saw this coming ages ago. I said, the big strike is going to be on the IPO day. And there it is, May the 8th. So I was dead on with my prediction, right? They say 12 hours. And guys, share this video. Share this video right now. Share this video, right? The only way you make noise is when you reach individuals that haven't heard the news. And the reason why I say that is because Gustavo Rosales did not know the date of the strike, right? So that's how you find out. You share it. It's May the 8th. It's announced in this, right? And not just Uber drivers, but Lyft drivers should take a position. And I will guarantee you that in all of those cities that they're striking in, all those metropolitan cities, then the TV outlets, the newspapers, everybody's going to be there. I mean, look how successful the Los Angeles strike was, right? It was a strike held in front of the Uber hub down in Redondo Beach on 2400 Marine, right? And that little spot and that little intersection where the metro is, and it made world news, right? Every newspaper ran it, New York Times, Washington Post, and watch. If you Google today Uber News and Lyft News, I will guarantee you that you will find information on this May the 8th announcement, right? Gig workers, Rideshare, United, all these organizations are fighting for 4 basic things: higher wages, clearer policies on wages, clearer policies on tips, how fares are shared and disciplinary action is taken, employee benefits such as healthcare, disability payments, and holiday pay is what they want, the drivers, and recognition and representation for drivers in Uber's management structure so that we have a say, right? We have a say so we can bring our influence into this company, not just top down. So who else do we have in the house? In Andrew Yang we trust. I thought the IPO is this month. I believe it's May the 8th, right? Backseat driver, Ari, you signed an arbitration contract, can't sue. I would have to disagree with that backseat driver, because there's always a way out in the legal terms. The bottom line is, if you do sue, it goes to arbitration. So whatever you're suing for, whatever amount, whatever story you're suing for, it goes to arbitration and gets resolved in arbitration. So you still receive a desired outcome if your case has validity, if your point has, if your legal torts have validity, right? But if you don't go to small claims court, if you don't go to the superior court and file your case, either $40 or $400 and file your case, you will never make it to arbitration. You'll go nowhere. So to say you cannot sue is absolutely not true, right? You could march your case straight into arbitration and request a hearing or go to mediation, right? Doesn't mean you have your hands tied and you have no power to get to this. Right now, a strike has a lot of power, right? Has a ton of power. It sends a very clear message to Wall Street. It sends a very clear message to any person interested in the initial public offering. It sends a very direct message to all executive and board members. It sends a very direct message to all the people that put the major investors like SoftBank, Google, car companies that put money. Hey, these guys haven't been heard yet, right? And on 8th of May, they're striking. They want to be heard. And they have 4 points. Listen to them, right? Do you think that these executives that are all hoping for this big cash out payday want this negative news? No. So they better address it, right? They better address it. The Hate Keeper says, stop hiring so many drivers. Are you talking to me, or are you talking to Uber or Lyft? The bottom line is, the Hate Keeper, whether it's me or Dustin or the Apptrepreneur or the simple driver, if they are not recruiting drivers, the drivers will go directly to Uber or Lyft, right? The only difference is if you go through an influencer like myself, if you sign up under my codes underneath this video, both sides get paid, right? If you're signing up directly with them, they are saving the money. So your theory there, stop hiring so many drivers, that's ego-based. That's, hey, I'm a driver and there shouldn't be any other drivers in my market. The law of economics doesn't work that way. Welcome to the real world. Tony Slaughter, I'm going to work on a bill, sir, in part of the DMV. Beautiful. Very proud of you. That's great. Backseat driver, 200,000 drivers in Boston. Got to stand united, got to stand strong on this day, May the 8th. They say 12 hours. Man, if you can push 24, 48 hours, if you can sacrifice 3 days without pay, do it, because you're sending a loud and clear message, right? Just like this video. I am sending a very loud and clear message to Uber and Lyft. You right now deactivated all my grandfathered in referrals that were worth $300,000. You took those away from me. You, Uber and Lyft, haven't paid me for one international referral, and you should, right? Because you're using dumb excuses not to pay. That's probably another $200,000. You have been selling SUV licenses on the black market through the head offices to people that are willing to pay $5,000 in Los Angeles. You owe a lot of people money, right? So if I did just do a basic calculation and come to $550,000 or $560,000, which I have 3 years to act on, right? But in the meantime, I'm going to be out here pushing the drivers, right? I have 3 years to act on that, right? But am I happy with Uber and Lyft? No, I'm not, right? But like I say, they have to push me far enough that I actually become one of those organizers, right? And that, my friends, is when I use databases of this nature. There's 300,000 records here of all the editors, publishers, newspapers, nationally, internationally, right? Daytona Beach News, even the tiny little news outlets, they have emails. So you send them a press release, hey, May the 8th, this is going down, this strike. And who knows, in 6 months, maybe rideshare professor organizes a national strike, an international strike, right? But I tell you what, you Uber and Lyft, you piss off drivers enough, they will take action, right? And here you have it, May the 8th. Here's another one, Oroville Mercury Register, tiny little, the Miami Herald, right? Random Lengths News, American Media, Lufkin Daily News. They're all there. Washington Times, Portales News Tribune. They're all there. Asian Week, Daily News, Press Telegram, Cox. You email these guys and say, hey, this is what we're planning. This is what we stand for. We stand for these 4 things, right? The main thing is we want higher wages. You let these people know. So anybody wants a copy of this, just buy my smallest package on rideshare driving school for $9. It'll be my time, my efforts. I'll have to get you this database, right? Email me your email so I can send you a copy of this database. If one day you want to make noise, if you want to start a company, this is gold. Served me well all the years. But these, the real people, are standing up. Anybody joining the room are standing up for 4 main things. Let me repeat them again. They're standing up for higher wages. Listen up, Uber and Lyft. We want higher wages. Listen up, Uber and Lyft. We want clearer policies on wages, tips, how fares are shared, and disciplinary action. Listen up, Uber and Lyft. We want employee benefits such as healthcare. Listen up, Uber and Lyft. We want disability payments. Listen up, Uber and Lyft. We want holiday pay. And listen up, Uber and Lyft. We want recognition and representation for drivers in Uber's management structure. There it is. Plain and simple. 4 very, very basic demands that they should meet, right? Chicago in the house. Chicago Rob. Show up strong, my friends. We did it in LA. You can do it too, right? If backseat driver, if you're going to organize a strike, now's the time. We've been preaching all along, for those who are joining, it's going to be the IPO day. I said it months ago. Go back, watch my videos. I was spot on. May the 8th, 12 hours. If you can, make it 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, depending, maybe take a weekend off, right? But switch off. Uber Latino, Alejandro Orlando, Florida. Hola, amigo. How are you? Who else is there? Tom Young, how's the Lyft shares you bought? Not doing well, but I'm not worried because once Uber comes out with their IPO, I think they're going to tank first as well. And if you're in for shares, you're not in for short-term money. Unless you're shorting the market, trying to make money quickly, I'm in for the long haul. So let it settle in. Let this collective pressure work. And let's see how those shares pay out, right? For me, it's play money. Right? It's money that I said, if I lose it, I lose it. I could have taken that money to Vegas, right? So I'm just interested to see the behavior of these graphs. The first few weeks of Lyft was roller coaster, all the way up, all the way down, right? So I think there's a ton of pressure on Uber, so we'll see. So Ed says, I drive Uber Lyft, Professor, but May 8th, I'm returning from a holiday that day and need rideshare to bring me home. Damn it, I wish this happened. Well, you will always get a ride on that day, because I can tell you, even in LA, it's not like everyone is switching off. There are people that don't support their brothers and sisters and don't show up at the strike, right? So you'll always get a trip on this. The question is, I think you'll just be waiting longer. And that's the goal here, is that let the passengers feel a little bit of the pain, right? Because they're so spoiled to get a car in 1 or 2 or 3 minutes. They might end up waiting 20 minutes because people actually did decide to strike, right? So we're just sending a message. This is more a message, a media message, hoping that the newspapers, the TVs run with this. That's more the collective message, right? The action on the street, who knows? If 50% participate, pretty good news. Anthony Mayers, I agree, Lyft will pay off. I think in the long run it will, because the way I see it is they still have to open up all those international markets. John Asher, likewise, I like your channel and all you do for us drivers. I can only return that same compliment. I like you all being part of the channel, contributing your input. You know why? Because I know Uber and Lyft are reading your messages. Remember this. When Uber did that massive national and international feed, that big announcement, you know what? They cut us off. Remember that? They cut off the messages because they knew they would be killed and slaughtered with messages, and a lot of anger and upset would have come their way in those. They switched it off. We don't switch the channel off. You get to express yourself. You get to express what you're feeling. Hey, I'm going to participate. Hey, I'm not going to participate for this reason. Hey, I'm unhappy about this. You get to share. You get to share your story, right? So yeah, Mark Higgins, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That should be more like it. It should be a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday strike, not just a 12-hour strike. If you want to make a statement, make it loud and clear with a bang. Should I take a taxi on that day? Hey, support the taxis. Why not? Support the taxi drivers. Very smart idea, right? Because otherwise, just putting money straight back into the Uber and Lyft organization. Deals Doc Bounce is a company in San Diego and will expand. Somebody's giving a shout out to Bounce. Sure, Bounce right over here. Bounce to LA. We welcome any new rideshare company. So Bounce right over. Mike Bastoni, I miss driving my taxi. Well, you switch off your freaking apps, dude. Stop complaining. Go. No whining here. Go and jump back in your taxi. Free world. You follow the money. Follow the money, right? Anthony Mayers, Dara is the problem. If we turn off our apps until he's deactivated, it'll work. Dara wants to cash out, right? He's getting major bank in shares. Has he been great for the company? I personally don't think so. I think in the beginning he did a little bit of like spring cleaning, but has he done anything? Has he really done anything for drivers? No, he hasn't. He's taken away from drivers. So, Dara plays the drumbeat of the investors, right? Boom, 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 get us to the IPO. Boom, 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 boom. Let's all cash out. That's their drumbeat, right? The drumbeat of the drivers looks very, very different. I'll tell you what the drumbeat of the drivers says: higher wages, clearer policy on wages, higher tips. Well, not higher tips, just tips in generally, right? How fares are shared and disciplinary action is taken. Employee benefits, such as healthcare, disability payments, holiday pay. Why not? Others get it. And then also recognition and representation for drivers in Uber and Lyft's management structure. So 4 basic requests. Ricky Williams, the Uber app is unsafe to use while driving. It's difficult to turn off, and many features we need to access are embedded in the app. It's much harder to use than the app we had 3 years ago. Interesting. Rideshare 2K, what's the sweet spot in raise to get us happy again? Good question. I'll let drivers answer that. What's the sweet spot? Chicago Cabby Rick, This has gone on in the taxi industry for decades. Owners of cab companies and city governments making a lot of money and drivers making peanuts. So this is nothing new. You're just waking up to this. Okay. What are you trying to say, Chicago Cabby Rick? Some people are asleep. You're awake. Is that what you're saying? Interesting dude. John Smith. Well, if they're reading Uber, stop being greedy and start giving us what's fair and stop treating us like idiots. That last comment, let me just say, stop treating us like idiots. That's basically you saying, I feel like an idiot, right? Never invite in that energy. The other points there, I think, are valid, right? But don't ever say that about yourself, because that's like putting a brand or a stamp on yourself. What are the dates? The dates are May the 8th. Jerry Hoffman, real demand, charge the passengers more until you find the passenger's payment threshold. Yeah. That, by the way, in business is called the point of inflection. INFLECTION, inflection, right? When does it hurt passengers or drivers so much that they're willing to walk away? Uber and Lyft know those thresholds. And by the way, when both companies filed their S1, when both companies had to disclose all their earnings, what passengers pay, what drivers pay in their IPO filing, right? Both companies learned that about each other. Uber learned about Lyft. Lyft learned about Uber. What are the inflection points, right? Because both companies have different inflection points. So they got real good data on each other. So now you could even say, okay, well, maybe now they're engaged in price fixing. If Lyft does this, let's also do that because it looks like they're benefiting here. Or if Uber's doing this, let's also do that because they're benefiting here, right? So it's crazy, but that data, everything had to be disclosed in the IPO, right? So these inflection points, where is the threshold? Both companies know that about each other now. They know each other's thresholds. They know each other's inflection points, right? From a pure business standpoint. It's interesting. Before the off switch was on top of the screen, much easier for drivers to operate. Okay. Tom Young, just wait till investors are suing Uber, just like Lyft. Both companies are Ponzi schemes to scam people. Yeah. So that's a good point Tom Young makes, is that, hey, now these big Lyft, they wanted the big money, and right now the big money was not there, and now they're starting to sue, right? It's interesting how people want it both ways, right? So yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. If Uber's stock tanks, expect there to be lawsuits. Lyft showed us there were many lawsuits filed. So Tom Young is right on the money. Jerry Hoffman, 2 + 2. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the thumbs up. Good points, charge the passengers more. I've asked passengers and they're willing to pay more, especially in the select black SUV and Lux. The people that I drive, I asked them, are you willing to pay more? I said, yeah, sure. We get good service. We will pay more. Tony Mendoza, how are you, my friend? I drive Select in Santa Cruz. The app puts Select as first option for a few days and Select rides boomed. Then app went back to X. First and Select rides fell off. Riders will pay more. Appreciate you sharing that with us. Thank you. So Uber drivers in 7 cities are planning protests to highlight what they claim are poor working condition, folks, and low wages at the ride-hailing firm Uber and Lyft, right? Drivers say that they are paid below minimum wage levels, right? that are required by some states and barely above national rates. There you hear it. So for 12 hours, the drivers involved in the protest plan to turn off the Uber app and stop working for the ride-hailing firm or firms, right? The protests will take place on 8th of May when Uber makes its stock market debut. Couldn't be a better day. I said this months ago, it's going to be on IPO day. So I was right on that. Uber's much anticipated IPO, initial public offering, will put millions into the pockets of executives. But the drivers who are the core of the service of the company, yeah, that is true. We are the core of the company, will get nothing. Shona Clarkson from Gig Workers Rising, which is helping to organize the protest, told The Guardian, right? So there's a quote from The Guardian. Shona Clarkson is out there working for you guys, right? She has an organization called Gig Workers Rising. Riders United down in LA, who organize this. These are people out there working for you, right? Drivers would continue to be exploited if they did not get more protections, said Ms. Clarkson. A letter has been delivered to Uber's headquarters detailing the drivers' demands and warning it of the shutdown. Uber and Lyft know of the shutdown, folks. I bet you anything it's in the news today. Just Google it. In the letter, drivers expressed fears that pay rates would be cut after the IPO as the company sought to make itself more palatable to investors. It's coming. If you think that this is the threshold, they will continue cutting after the IPO. They will also cut the referrals. The question is, how much will it take before we band together and rebel, right? New York now operates in a city by law that demands drivers working for Uber and other ride-hailing firms like Lyft and Juno must get paid at least $17.22 per hour. That is not the case for many other cities and states. Drivers in San Francisco, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Diego, Minneapolis, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. will turn off the app on May the 8th. Why only those cities? All cities should shut off, right? A separate protest will be held outside Uber's head office in San Francisco on the same day. I will tell you what, a lot of people will be there, a lot of drivers. Uber has not yet reacted to the drivers' demands nor responded to a BBC request for comment. Of course they won't. They're not going to take a position that'll jeopardize their IPO. So silence is golden, darkness is golden, right? Come on, Uber, come on, Lyft. The company has recently run a driver bonus scheme that rewards regular drivers with cash. The scheme is believed to be a way for it to get around US regulations that stop it rewarding drivers who are not its direct employees with shares. Drivers who clocked up more than 10,000 trips for the firm received 1,000 as a reward. That's not much. That is really, really not much. However, as Uber driver pointed out in a blog, anyone who invested in the cash that rival Lyft handed out to its drivers in a similar scheme could have ended up losing some of their bonus. Wow. So folks, Vicky Pearson's in the house. They need to get more money for shared rides now that it's cheap, now that it's a cheap ride. Enayat Ullah, you are right. Thank you, sir. Deals Doc, you know about bounce open trip policy where they show time drop off before you pick up. That's good. That's really good. Backseat driver, the Boston Independent Drivers Guild. Fire. Good. Good for you guys. Okay, my friends, I'm going to leave the house once I have 50, I count them, 50 thumbs up. So give me 50 thumbs up and I'm out. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's island style. I need thumbs up, but I'll take those. Those are good. I'll take those. I got to start my day. Sergio Robles gave me 5, gave me 10. Much appreciated. In fact, you gave me 11. Tom Young gave me 1. I appreciate you. 50 and I'm out of here, my friends. What do you say to those renting cars with Lyft? Should they return cars and invest in leasing a car? Listen, renting and paying companies to leasing, doesn't make any sense, because the rates that they're taking, Carlos Ochoa, thank you. I appreciate those ones. The rates that they are taking don't make sense. You got to finance and own a car, right? The difference, if you're paying $800 to $1,000 for a small little car, right? Look how much it impacts your profit margins, right? You should be financing your own car at $300 per month and freeing up $700, right? 700 times 12, my friends, it's a lot of money. That's $8,400 you lost in those 12 months just because you're in bed with a rental company. So there's your answer. Yeah, baby, I love it. Check this out. Whoop, whoop, whoop. This is why I love you guys. That's why I love you guys. Check. This is what I see. When I see that, I get happy. I get a smile on my face. That motivates me to make these videos. That motivates me to keep on fighting because of that. Precisely because of that. Check that out. Positivity. They're not doing this. We're doing this. Positive. We're doing this together and this. There we go. Easy sign language, right? Stranded on an island to meet someone. You and I together. Strong. Cool. So, look, you guys, support this company so they come back to LA market. Come back? Are you trying to say us they've been to LA and they haven't succeeded? You talking about bounce? Where they're bouncing around? Come on, Deals Doc. Be a little bit more clearer on that. Nice job, Mr. Professor. Nice job, Ed. Danny, Mika, appreciate you. Nelson Menard, I appreciate you, my friend. I really appreciate you guys. I wish you a fantastic day. I hope you take action on May the 8th, wherever you may be in the United States, wherever you may be in Australia, my Australian friends in Perth, in Sydney, in New Zealand, in Auckland, in Japan, Tokyo, in Germany, in Berlin, in Hamburg, in Düsseldorf, in South Africa, in Cape Town, in Port Elizabeth, in Durban, Johannesburg, Pietermaritzburg, wherever you are in Europe, whether you're in Brussels, whether you're in Switzerland, whether you're in Austria, whether you're in Portugal, whether you're in Spain, whether you're in Belgium, stand with us. Stand strong, brothers. International and national brothers on that day need to unite. Wherever you are on this globe, in China, in India, in Africa, in South America, in Buenos Aires, in Rio de Janeiro, in Mexico City, in Las Cruces, in Houston, in Denver, I could rattle off cities all day long. You got to stand strong, my friends, on May the 8th. You got to stand strong, right? This is the symbol, my friends, of the rideshare drivers. We stand strong and deliver a hard knockout punch, just like I used to in the rugby games when it got ugly. You just went wild in the scrum, right? And you got to keep fighting. You got to keep on standing up for yourself. And again, I love it. Theodore, show some muscle there, brother. I'm with you, Theodore. Love it. Check that out. Love, love, love your emojis. There you heard it, my friend. Love your emojis, Theodore. Have a great day. Rideshare with Bearded Daddy. I love that name. Rideshare with Bearded Daddy. Strong. Theodore. Strong. Hey, my friends, I have nothing but love for you. Just keep on fighting the fight. I appreciate your input. I appreciate everything you have shared today. I know Uber and Lyft are reading this. This is just yet another live video in the ocean of live videos pushing May the 8th. And we made it very clear, Uber and Lyft, we made it very clear what we stand for, right? And the main thing is show us higher wages so that we can pay a decent living, right? And do not just cozy up to your big money people, and do not just use this as an opportunity to cash out as an executive, investor, or board member. No, Take care of the people that take care of you. Love you.